Let's talk to Harold Peacock from historyouthere.com. Now, he's got a story about 150 years ago. People coming to Ipswich, I think there was a little bit of rumpy-pumpy, a little bit of jiggy-jiggy going on. And then there's something about Turkish baths. Tell us the story there, Harold. Good morning.
Good morning, Danny. Yeah, this is a love story, but it's also a curse story, so it's a bit of a twist. And it's to do with the ship Young Australia that left London and came to Moreton Bay 150 years ago now. The day after arriving, about 25 of the passengers continued on the steamer Kate and arrived in Ipswich on the 26th of August, 1870. Now, the Queensland Times here in Ipswich reported that the people appear to be a highly intelligent and respectable class of immigrants. Now, Danny, that wasn't necessarily true, and even a curse seemed to be on them, because there was John Clayton.
Right.
But this was just an alias. His name was John Carter, and he was a cotton manufacturer in Lancashire.
Right.
He was running from debts of £10,000, but he was arrested as soon as the ship arrived in Moreton Bay.
Right.
Then there was Patrick Fair, who, while on board, broke his leg, and that took months to heal. He later became a petty criminal. Then there was Amos Broome. On his very first night ashore, he fell over the wall at Queen's Wharf and broke his elbow. There was also 19-year-old George Toombs. On the morning after arriving in Ipswich, he was cleaning a revolver and shot himself in the foot. But it was 2 years later, Danny, in 1872, when things really got bad. That's when the ship Young Australia, which brought everyone here, it ran onto rocks off Cape Morton and sank. A few weeks later, George Toombs, who'd shot himself in the foot at Ipswich, this time fell off his horse and was killed. There was Eli Language. It just gets worse, Danny. Eli Language, he had 40 acres just north of Ipswich, but he also promptly died. And Henry Baltrop, he was just 13 years old when he got here, he died. And another passenger, Morris Farrer, he was cleared of embezzlement up at Toowoomba, but was later committed to the Goodna Lunatic Asylum. Then there was, it just goes on and on. And then there was Elizabeth Lypiot. She arrived as a 15-year-old, but had her heart broken, and her father was forced to take a man to court for breach of promise to marry.
Wow.
And the steamer Kate, which actually brought everyone here to Ipswich, it sank in the mouth of the Brisbane River after being struck by another boat.
Kate.
So the curse just goes on and on and on. But then came Henry Baltrop, whose son had died when everyone else started dying. He opened a Turkish bath in Brisbane and had a boarding house next door. Someone tried to burn the house down, but the fire was put out and the arson attempt failed. It was at that point, Danny, that the curse was broken, and this becomes a love story. And so I can see you smile right now, because Henry went on to set what must be a world record when he became one of 4 brothers, all of whom celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Even Henry's son, William, who also came over on the ship Young Australia, he celebrated his 50th anniversary. And Elizabeth Lypiot, the girl who had her heart broken, she got married and had 8 children.
Wow. That's a bit of pumpy on the ship.
Well, it was, and then maybe it continued on in the Turkish baths, because one of Baltrop's employees opened a Turkish bath on East Street, right in Ipswich, opposite the old Bank of New South Wales. So, Danny, you can see through history that Ipswich might face the occasional curse, but eventually love and Turkish baths does conquer all.
Let's start some Turkish baths. West Bremer Radio will sponsor them. What year was that Kate came out?
That was in 1870.
Well, today, on this day, Australia's first free settlers arrived in Sydney on the Ballooner in 1793. It had 17 female convicts on board, and most were charged with stealing offences and sentenced to 7 to 14 years. So not a long time after that, really. But isn't that interesting? Turkish baths in Ipswich back 150 years ago. I wonder if they got around with the old the plumbing high swinging those days.
Well, they were very popular with rugby league players, apparently. The rugby league players that swore by them. That's true.
Mate, the game hadn't started. It started about 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, rugby league players.
They did start. They all turned up there.
Lucky one of the old blokes at my surf club used to walk in. We'd all shower in the nude, and we all wear thongs because then we get tenure. And his name was, and when he walked in, we used to walk out because his name was Harvey Wallbanger. He was a big lad. Good on you, Harold. How do we get you online to check out these stories?
Yeah, in fact, there's 200 stories I looked the other day. There's 200 short stories there to see at historyouthere.com. And today's story about the Ipswich curse and love story, that'll be on there tomorrow morning.
And you know what? We need to do a book, and I will do the forward. If you check the forward I've done, which is on the back page, not the front page, of Ranger Nick's radio recipe collection, it's going off. You need to do this.
Yeah, Danny. Oh, look, I will. And, Danny, I appreciate all those photos you keep sending me. We're going to pick one of them to put in there.
You wanted a photo for the website. Don't startle me. That was Harold. He's the H at 8:18 on West Bremer Radio.